Have you found that what you did go through, that you ever needed to process it or heal it, or because you had that perspective since day one, that you never needed that it was just like, no, this is my experience and I'm used to it, or were there moments of where you had to revisit? And
I work on healing every day. You know, I grew up in a world where we almost didn't have the time nor the resources to heal. And I think for a long time, I was very comfortable in accepting that as just being my world. Oh, that happened. I shrug it off and you keep on moving.
Wow.
Yeah, you shrug it off. That happened to you, you know, domestic abuse, okay, poverty, whatever it may be, violence in the community or at home, whatever. Yeah, but that happens. You keep it moving. You shrug it off because it is happening. And funny enough, you can grow up, and I grew up in a world where I created this narrative in my head that it was not bad because it was happening to everyone.
Wow.
And so
yeah.
now most of my life, you know, is spent acknowledging that it was bad, and then spending a lot of time acknowledging how the bad created coping mechanisms or tools that I then use in my life every single day, and how I can accept those parts of myself whilst also not glorifying the things that happened. Just sometimes I fight with a lot of people when they do this. I fight with all my friends, by the way. I hate
friends from back home?
Anyone.
Anyone.
I fight with friends from back. I fight with anyone, Jay. Anyone. I'm never grateful for suffering. I'm never grateful for pain. I'm not grateful for those things. What I work to be grateful for is the resiliency that may exist in my family and our ability to adapt. But I'm not going to be grateful for a horrible thing that happened to me or the people in my life.
Yes.
Because we learned how to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, I would like to live in a world where my child doesn't have to develop that tool. Let them develop another tool. Yeah. Let their tool be, I had to figure out, how to feel good about myself when I couldn't get as many TikTok followers as I wanted. Let that be their tool. But I understand the esoteric idea. I understand what people are saying sometimes, but I'm almost allergic to it, because I think sometimes what it does is it justifies what people are going through, or it justifies the idea that we don't need to do more, or people aren't going through something bad, because it creates the best. It makes diamonds. It can create diamonds. And I'm like, yeah, but what it can also do is pulverize a lot of people into dust.
Yeah.
You know, and so diamonds are the exception. I'm often careful to think about, and I'm sure you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, hearing you, actually, what I find is that at least what I took away from that is that it's the same thought, it's just a deeper level of the same thought. Like, it's with more clarity. Like, it's like, I think sometimes we hear that idea of be grateful for everything, or be grateful for the suffering. And if you don't really think that through, you can try and artificially put that Band-Aid.
Maybe that's,
and you just kind of try and like, oh yeah, put the Band-Aid on, like put the Band-Aid on of gratitude. But it's like when you internalize that and you process it, that's when you can, what you're doing, which is like clearly sectioning it off and saying, I'm not grateful for the act of violence, or I'm not grateful for the suffering, as you said, but I can be grateful for the quality that resilience, etc., that helped me push through. But I think to me, that's just a deeper, more refined thought out of practicing gratitude almost.
Do you think, like, I've always wanted to know, as a monk, are you forced to just be grateful for everything, regardless of what it is?
No, I think what you're saying is far more aligned with what I would think. Like,
okay.
As in, I think that there's two parts, right? One is what the philosophy tries to share or state. And then it's what you learn in the practice of that philosophy. So if you try and be grateful, like I just had, this literally just happened, hence I'm talking about it. I just had a double inguinal hernia surgery, which means that both my hernias, which are on either side of my groin, I had to have incisions in my stomach and then mesh put in there. It's not life-threatening, but it's massively inconvenient.
Yes.
And I didn't work for 3 weeks. This is my first week back at work, and I'm feeling
the funniest is when you try and you have like a sneeze or a cough the first time.
Have you had this?
Yeah, and then
my God, that makes
the funny is when it happens, and the first time you don't realize how painful it would be, and now your body doesn't allow you to cough or sneeze, but it's amazing. It's almost funny to what we're talking about. This is what I mean, right? It is amazing how quickly your body responds to trauma or pain.
Yes.
It's amazing at how quickly it works to protect you from it. Because if I said to you, don't sneeze or don't cough for 3 weeks, it's impossible.
Yeah.
But one cough and one sneeze when you've had your hernia or any surgery that's abdominal, your body goes, I never want to experience that again.
Never.
And then you know exactly, but you know exactly what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. For the first, I was scared that I was going to pop my hernia again.
Yes, exactly. It's the fear.
Yeah,
there you go.
Fear.
Yeah.
And so I'm walking around with a pillow like halfway through the day. And my wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I might cough. And she's laughing at me. I'm like, you can't make me laugh either. Like, I was like, I couldn't watch comedy for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because you can't laugh. It hurts so much. But the reason I brought that up was like, am I grateful I got a hernia? No, like why would I be grateful that I've been working out, I eat healthy,
Yes,
I'm like, you know, I'm a mindful individual, but I ended up with this from working out and everything. I'm not grateful for the hernia, but I'm grateful for the journey I chose to take during the experience that has helped me have new appreciations.
Yes.
And so I think the point of, at least, I mean, going to what you suggested, like how would a monk think about gratitude? I don't think any quality or value was embodied by force or by prescription without reflection.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Anything without reflection is practically not the right way to do it. But anyway,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I like that. I really do fight with a lot of people about this. And I obviously when I say fight, I mean that's how we use it in South Africa. Funny enough, in India as well, I'm sure you know this.
Yes.
When I was in India, I went recently, and what I loved is how people argue about everything. And like one of the guys who was there is a friend of mine now, and we're arguing back and forth, and then like his friend steps in and he's like, Trevor, I'm so sorry, Trevor. Please, I apologize. He's not fighting with you. This is how we do it in India. And I'm like, I was like, this is amazing.
I get it. Yeah.
I want to live in this country.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. But this is what I argue with people about sometimes, where I say, I don't have to be grateful for it.
Yes.
Because I often say, and maybe I'm wrong here. That's how I see it. I have found for myself, and maybe for others at times, we are so attached to the idea of who we are. The story that we've told ourselves, the story that we continue to tell ourselves, who we are, who we wish to be, who we should be. Whether it's designed by what our parents always said about us. You're such a quiet child. You're such a lovely person. You're so kind. You're so polite. And you go, that I am. Oh, I should be then. Whatever it may be. But sometimes I find I would get so attached to that that then I would be afraid to let go of the things that may be holding me back because I don't want to lose me. Because who is me if I don't have the pain? Who is me if I don't have the trauma? Who is me if I don't have the mistrust? I don't want to lose me. Yeah. I'm me. I know me. What if I'm not me? I love me. And if I want to lose me, do I still love me? And that's what I find the thing is. And so what I found helps me, and I'll say to some of my friends as I go, I do not need to live my life believing that I would not be me or I do not love me if I wish for these things to not happen. But I rather go, I would have learned something else. So I learned a different part of my body. I learned how to work through pain. I learned how to move differently because of a hernia. Yeah. Fine. Yeah. I'm grateful that I can learn. Yeah. I'm grateful that I can recover. I'm grateful that maybe I even learned how to rest a little bit.
Yes.
Take some time off.
Slow down, yeah.
Slow down, Jay. But I also sit with it and go, but if I didn't have that hernia, if I didn't have that trauma as a child, I would have had the opportunity to learn something else.
Yes.
So maybe my tool wouldn't have been used on this, it would have been used on something else. And that doesn't diminish me or who I think I am. It just allows me to almost exist infinitely and go, well, then I can try to be whatever me exists.
Yeah.
And it's like skin. It's like hair. It's like we're always losing us, is what I think.
Yeah. I mean, the cells in our bodies are changing all the time.
Always losing us. I'm always trying that, and it's scary.
It's scary because I think humans look for certainty as safety and security and stability,